After Qui Gon Jinn's death, one unexpected guest attended his funeral, Chancellor Palpatine, but his presence wasn't out of respect, it was all just a part of his plan. The newly elected Supreme Chancellor Palpatine attended Qui-Gon's funeral in a diplomatic capacity. Qui-Gon died on Naboo in defense of the planet from a separatist invasion. Naboo was Palpatine's home planet and the planet he served as a senator for, so it looked like common courtesy for Palpatine to show up. Palpatine wanted to show that he was an honorable leader, showing respect for the Jedi that defended his home planet with his life. However, this was just a manipulation tactic. While Palpatine wanted the Jedi to think he was an ally for them, Palpatine had a much bigger goal in mind: Anakin Skywalker. At this point, Palpatine knew of the Chosen One prophecy. Going to Qui-Gon Jinn's funeral gave him an opportunity to interact and meet Anakin, where Palpatine could begin to plant seeds for Anakin's eventual turn to the dark side. This passage from the Darth Plagueis novel shows Palpatine's thoughts during this scene. With the Battle of Naboo concluded, lost in his estimation, Palpatine had no time to bask in adulation or celebrate his win. His first order of business, indeed his first official duty, was to travel to his homeworld and congratulate Queen Amidala and her new allies, the Gungans, on their surprise victory. It wasn't until he arrived in Theed and learned of Darth Maul's defeat at the hands of a Jedi in a power generator station. He now understood in part the reason for the sense of loss and profound solitude he had experienced following the murder of Plagueis. He could have pressed one of the other Jedi who arrived on Naboo for information as to how Maul had managed to kill a master sword fighter only to become by a lesser one. He didn't want to know. Still, it gave him great pleasure to stand among Yoda, Mace Windu, and other masters watch Qui-Gon Jinn's body reduced to ash, knowing the Jedi was the first casualty in a war that had been declared but not yet begun. With Plagueis' death and Maul's defeat having occurred relatively simultaneously, out of the Force was the fact that until such a time he took and trained a new apprentice, Palpatine was now the galaxy's sole Sith Lord. This passage does a really good job of showing that Qui-Gon's death was a vital part of Palpatine's plan, as if Qui-Gon trained Anakin, Anakin would have turned out a lot different, having a master who followed the will of the Force rather than listen to the Senate. I did make a video on why Palpatine feared Qui-Gon if you want to check that one out. While this was considered a defeat for the Separatists, Qui-Gon's death served as a victory for Palpatine, even if it was at the cost of Darth Maul's life. Speaking of Maul, I found it really interesting that Palpatine was tempted to ask about Maul's death but chose to keep it under wraps as he didn't want to raise any suspicion from the Jedi that he was the Sith Lord, which makes sense. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like and subscribing if you like the content. But anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.